Hi, I'm Kerry Kirkham, and this is an episode of What Does the Wine Fox Say? About 11 years ago, when I first started my wine industry career, I was an apprentice winemaker, and part of my duties was to manage the tasting room, and I really enjoyed it. I really love wine hospitality, sharing your wine, telling stories, creating positive experiences, positive memories for your customers. Then I eventually went on to write for the trade on tasting room management. In fact, the magazine sent me to a course at UC Davis taught by Craig Root on tasting room management. Highly, highly recommended if you manage a tasting room to look up Craig Root. So what happens when you have a negative tasting room experience like what I had today? Today was my day off, and I wanted to go to Livermore Valley to learn about a winery's wines. I wanted to do a display for Thanksgiving based on local wines. So I had a pre-arranged tasting at 11 o'clock this morning on my day off. I got dressed up. I take it seriously. I'm there to learn, and I have a lot of passion. So I get to the tasting room, and I meet the tasting room host, and we start talking about wine, and he pours me the first wine, which is a Sauvignon Blanc. And I sell this Sauvignon Blanc, and I'd never tasted it. And I'd been selling this particular Sauvignon Blanc for almost 5 years, and I'd never tasted it. So this was fantastic. I'm finally tasting this wine. I could speak on it. And it's like, this is so crisp, it's refreshing, it's easy to drink, it's crowd-pleasing. I am so excited to be tasting this wine. One of the things I really liked about this Sauvignon Blanc was there was no cat pee taste. Cat pee smell and aroma is sometimes found in Sauvignon Blanc. And he, as I said that, this doesn't smell like cat pee, he abruptly corrected me and said, oh, no, that never happens. Sauvignon Blanc never smells like cat pee. That's Riesling. Riesling smells like cat pee, especially as it ages. Okay. I looked at him like, oh man, he's serious. Okay, well, I spent a month in Germany along the Rhine and the Mosel tasting Rieslings. I spent 3 weeks in Vienna tasting aromatic whites. Spent some time in Alsace, and I've never come across a Riesling that smelt like cat pee, but okay. I kept that to myself. This is my inside voice, and I just smiled, and we kept tasting. So we go on, and I see the list, and I said, oh, I really want to try this Cabernet Sauvignon. And he said, no, I wouldn't even carry that if I were you. This is a wine that they sell, that I sell. And he said, I wouldn't even carry that if I were you. And I looked at him like, is there going to be a punchline? Is he serious? He was serious. And I said, well, I maintain 3 facings of this, and I bring in a case at least every other week. And I have to have 3 facings of it. And he looked at me, facings? I said, rows. So I have 3 rows of 6 bottles of this particular wine, and I order a case every other week. It would be nice to know what it tastes like. I have customers who really like it. And he said, why would you ever want to even buy this wine when you can pay $10 more and upgrade to this other cab that you carry? It's a bit, okay. And then he said, besides, this cab is way better. And I said, well, I would really like to try the entry-level cab, and then maybe we can try the other for context. So I tasted the both of them. I thought the entry-level cab was completely credible. I kept that to myself. I didn't want to argue. I was there to learn, not to cause trouble. And I tasted the cab that was $10 more. And yes, the cab that was $10 more was a bit bolder. It had more layers. But the cab that was $10 less was totally credible. And the other thing is this gentleman committed one of the worst sins in the wine industry, is to assume that all palates are universal. Perhaps somebody would prefer the other wine over the one that you prefer. You can never assume that everybody's going to taste like you're going to taste. You have to honor palates, and you have to honor budgets. Oh my gosh. So I tasted through other wines, and then he started pressing me on the wine club. And he repeatedly kept trying to sell me on joining the wine club. It was like used car salesmen pressuring me to join the wine club. Oh my God. I've learned nothing about the winery, nothing about the history, nothing about the grape growing practices. I learned that one wine is the most popular Chardonnay in Canada. And you want me to join the wine club? Okay. So I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, I thought the best thing for me to do is to take myself out of this situation completely. I thanked him for his time, and that I learned a lot about how the wines tasted, and I left. And I was with my husband, and I said, you know what, we need to go to the next tasting room that we find, because I bet there's a better experience out there. I can't let this ruin my day off. So we went to another tasting room, and I walk in, and it's a very inviting space. The people who worked there were very inviting, and I talked to the guy behind the bar, and I told him that I work for a major retailer, and I'm just in the area, and I'd love to taste through some of the wines that I sell. Do you have them? And he said, no, we don't pour those wines here. We only have estate grown and estate-made wines that are only available through the tasting room. And he said, check the list out. And I looked at the list. I was like, wow, are these available for sale, like direct delivery? Can I order them somehow? And he said, no, it's only tasting room. I'm sorry. And I said, oh, okay, well, thanks. And I went to leave, and he said, wait, you should taste. Come and taste. You should try these. Why don't you try them? They're really great wines. And I thought, wow. And I said, okay, I'll taste. Maybe you can tell me more about your winery. And he led me through a great tasting, and I learned about the history of the winery, and it was fantastic. It was a total polar opposite experience. So what I want to advise you is, one, when you're in a bad tasting room experience, don't take it personal. It happens to pros and everyday people and wine connoisseurs alike. Two, take yourself out of the situation. You don't have time for that. You need to just move on. Three, find the next tasting room that pours wines that you may be interested in, and go there, because there are so many wineries out there who would love to host you. Don't let one tasting room experience ruin your perception of a region or a wine type. Stay positive. Don't let it ruin your day. And to that, I say cheers and carpe uvum.